with these earthlings. I'm trying to seek purpose, fight for something I believe's worth it. Feel the curse, I'ma reverse it. I don't dream cause I sleep nervous. Yet I keep flirting, face death like a Steve Irwin. Whole heat, I'ma drink thermos. Tell the bartender keep serving. I'm trying to be perfect, using dirty shit to clean dirt with. Only happy when the weed burning. Traded oxygen to breathe herping. Till I see curtains, lungs fail and they cease working. There is something that I need urgent, suffocating, trying to squeeze words in. What would I do with my last breath? Would I yell? Would I cry? Would I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I pass, never felt that blessed. Even bad breath when you living is better than good breath. When you lack flesh, got a class test that I cracked and my lost breath hasn't made it back yet. I'm on my last breath, walking the last step. I'm on the last test, final answer and my last guess. Wonder what I gotta pass next. I'm on my last quest, so much harder than my last track. Mad blessed, hope I can outlast death. Grim Reaper got my address, down on my last cent. Cash back from a check I don't even have yet from my last rent. Sweater shit has got me mad stressed. I inherited my dad's debt, never got to hear his last breath. And the only reason I ain't passed yet, I'm the first ever and the last left.
I let the record show. I let the tech explode. Put on the weapon show. Pull up the Texaco. Narcos in Mexico. Call up the technical. They know the text I blow. Shot to Plexico. Turn you to vegetable. Body electrical. Acid and alkaline. Body so flexible. The shooter's feast like a Uber Eats. Got a group of these suited these scooter bees. But letting the Uzi Aruga speak. An American God up in Cuba eats. Powers they seek and powers that they follow and creeps. Powers that be inherit the world from cowards and sheep. Been to the mountains, top towers and peaks. Flowers and sweets and showered our feet. The lightning and thunder, the shower to sleep. Shower the D's, this not a verse, this our receipts.
What would I do with my last breath? Would I yell? Would I cry? Would I laugh? Cause I'm glad that I'm past that mess. Till I
All right, there you have it. Last Breath off of Holy Ghost 2, now streaming on all streaming platforms. Holy Ghost 2, Cambada, featuring Black Magic, or the other way around, Black Magic featuring Cambada. Make sure y'all go and stream that. Make sure y'all go and stream that song. I want that to be the top song streamed off of that album. You know what I'm talking about? No offense to the other songs. All of them is fire, but you know, that right there, that thing right there, yeah, we need that thing to ring off. You know, we need that thing to ring off. Shout out to the family. Shout out to everybody in the building. Peace, love, and light to the family. Let's do the roll call. Seattle is in the building. Minneapolis is in the building. Washington by way of New York. East Chicago, Indiana. West Phoenix is in the building. Indianapolis is in the building. Talk black to me. Detroit is in the building. Colorado Springs is in the building. Yeah. Stone Mountain is in the building. Bloomington is in the building. Toronto, Canada is in the building. Kansas is in the building. Central California is in the building. Raleigh is in the building. The Bronx is in the building. Orlando, Florida is in the building. You know what I'm talking about? Tennessee is in the building. Chapel Hill, North Carolina is in the building. Atlanta's in the building. Salt Lake City, Utah is in the building. Oakland is in the building. Toledo's in the building. Fiji is in the building. Vegas is in the building. Cincinnati's in the building. New Orleans is in the building. Jersey's in the building. Rhode Island. Eastern Pennsylvania is in the building. Tampa, Florida. Yeah, peace. Mound Builders are definitely in the building. Yeah, Mars is in the building. Rich Mound is in the building. That's right. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina is in the building. Yeah. What's happening? South Central Los Angeles is in the building. The Vatican is in the building. Shit, is the Parliament in the building? Merritt Island, Florida is in the building. Charlotte is in the building. Shout out to all of the Charlotte family, all of the Geechee Gullas. Philadelphia, Shaker Mexum. Shout out to y'all. Salute. All right. I don't have too long on the show tonight. I have something that I have going with Brother Rich. So I'm going to be doing this until I get the call from Brother Rich that he's downstairs. Then I'm gonna have to go and deal with the uh the promotions because we have a lecture that is coming up uh in November, the 3rd of November, called Ascension 2020, featuring Red Pill, Blue Pill, Shri Gano Grills, and the headliner is Billy Carson from Billy Carson. All right, I'm not 100% sure of the channel, but Billy Carson, the legend. All right, so that's gonna be in Brooklyn at St. Francis College, coming up on the 3rd of November. Remember the 3rd of November. Legendary. I need y'all in the building. Forbidden Knowledge. Thank you. Forbidden Knowledge. Let me go to Brother Rich page real quick and give y'all the link so you know exactly where this lecture. So if you want to get that, because there's going to be a live stream, so you'll be able to watch this thing online in the comforts either of your home or with the gang or however you consume information. You'll be able to do such by seeing this thing live in the flesh, or you'll be able to watch it via live stream. So shout out to the brother Rich for making sure that this year does not end without information, high level information being broadcasted to the listening, viewing audience that's out there that are benefiting humongously off of the demonstration from the scholars and the teachers that come forth on Black Magic 363 throughout the years. All right. And if y'all know anything, like, please, if you know anything about the pills, please know that your brothers is coming with the top god information. You know what I'm talking about? Like, y'all never seen me lecture in New York City because I never got booked to lecture in New York City. So this is a first. You know what I mean? This is a first. I booked myself to speak in New York, and King Simon done put us on a few things here and there, but this one right here, this is the coronation. This is the big one. You know what I'm talking about? Shout out to Mexico. Yeah, Narcos in Mexico. This is the big one. So please be in the building and you know, let us do it. You know, let us all have a wonderful time. Let's make this monumental. You know what I'm saying? Let's make this monumental. Let's make this historic. And I look forward to meeting each and every one of the family who pull up in the building. Pardon me while I'm talking to y'all. At the same time, I'm getting these links. I'm putting a link in the I'm getting a link from the Eventbrite for Brother Rich's event. And I'm also putting a link for American Gods 2 in the description box because we postponed American Gods 2 right before I left to go to the UK. Reason being, there was a few reasons. One of the main reasons being is that our elder, Brother Franklin, made transition. And as a result of that untimely demise of Brother Franklin, I was messed up. You know, I was messed up. I give 100% gratitude for the brothers and sisters in the UK and London who welcomed us, and they helped alleviate some of this stress that I was under. You know, I was under heavy stress. I was under heavy grief. I was mourning. You know, I stayed in the house one day and broke down, and it was hard. You know what I'm saying? It was hard because, you know, I was going over all of the videos that we did with the brother. We didn't do a lot of videos, but when we were there, we did some videos, and I was just listening to his commitment, you know, to basically to his people and to the future, you know, and he was full of life, you know. He didn't foresee what was gonna happen, and that scared me. I'm gonna keep it a buck. You know how I talk about how I embrace death and whatnot, and I'm not that fearful of the inevitable. but I'm not fearful. I'm just not prepared for the shit to come right away. I'm not prepared for death to visit me or any of my family members. You know, that's not something that I'm prepared for. I'm gonna keep it 1,000 with you. Like, it's not like I could just go ahead and function the next day when things like that take place. Even being a Scorpio, even being the sign of death, you know, shit is real in these streets. You know what I'm talking about? The shit is real in these streets. So before I even begin, we doing a Joker breakdown. We talking about Tyler Perry Studios, and we talking about Tekashi 6ix9ine's record deal. But before we get into that, I want to give a shout out to my brother Rizza Islam, right? I watched the video that Young Pharaoh did where he brought on an investigator and they were doing pet detective work on RZA. And I say it like this, you know, I don't wish jail on nobody, you know, not even, well, maybe my enemies, but from where I come from, we don't, you know, you know, I gotta talk to my brother and find out what's going on in his situation and what crept up on him from what he might have done in the past. I wish that brother, his mama is in jail. You know, his mama's locked up. So, you know, what I hope and pray is that Mama Love, regardless of whatever the situation is, I just hope and pray that his mama, his mother, his Umi is in a better situation by next week this time. I understand they belong to an organization, and the last time that I checked, organizations should be fully responsible for freeing anybody who's behind enemy lines. Okay? If you behind enemy lines, your organization's number one priority is to get you from behind enemy lines. And when and you deal with all of that other stuff later. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no friend of the state. I'm not a friend of the state. So I don't, you know, you're not gonna find me laying up in nobody's motherfucking jail. I don't give a fuck what I done did. I'd rather go to Cuba before I sit in front of these pedophiles, before I sit in front of these banksters, before I sit in front of the biggest frauders in the motherfucking world, before I sit in front of this system and allow them to judge me. Can't judge me. Who the fuck are you to judge me? So, like I said, you know, I give that brother the love. You know what I mean? I give him love. I'm not pacifying nobody. Fuck is you talking about? Like I said, I would have to talk to that man to figure out what the fuck is going on and what done happened, what was going on. Bottom line, that's it. You know what I'm saying? You know, everybody at the end of the day is a man. And a man stands on what they do. A man is able to stand on on whatever they did wrong, and a man is able to stand on what they did right. So if that man stands on what he did, if he did something that could be seen as wrong, I'm sure that that man is gonna stand for it. Fuck all of you dick riders who try to judge somebody like you niggas is police. Fuck is you talking about? You know what I'm talking about? That's up for that's for God to judge. That's for that man and whoever he done did wrong to judge. That ain't for me to judge. Fuck is you talking about? You niggas is weird. You niggas is weird. I'm not built like that. You niggas is Tekashi right now. I'm not built like that. I'm not built like that. You know? So salute to that man. Y'all niggas is out here, y'all pet detectives. You know? All in the comment section trying to talk about with another man. Man, get the fuck out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? You know, niggas is y'all weird to me. Y'all willing to do the work for the police. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas is weird because of your hatred and your jealousy. Y'all willing to do the work for the popo. You know, I said it before, being locked up, bruh. That's like slow death. You know, your number one priority is to keep your freedom, regardless of anything. I don't care what you gotta use. Your number one priority is to keep your freedom in these streets. And if you fucked up in these streets and you gotta pay the price, then you know, gingerbread, catch me if you can. You know what I mean? Fuck is you talking about? We just cut differently. Y'all niggas will willingly give yourselves up. I'm not. I'm just not. I'm not doing that. I'm not walking into nobody's uh courtroom and just willingly give myself to them. You niggas is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all crazy. So whatever it, you know, whatever it takes for that man to be home, then that he needs to be home. His mama needs to be home. First and foremost. His mama needs to be home. Straight like that. Everybody, it's a whole bunch of people running around with jackets that done shot people, robbed people, sold crack to niggas' mamas, done pimped women. You know what I mean? Are we sitting back judging everyone now? Is this what we're doing? Are we gonna sit back and act holier than thou? Is that what's going on? You know, so we'll just leave it at that. You know, we'll just leave it at that. So, what I want to first of all talk about is a movie that I saw a few days ago. I wanted to do the breakdown on Friday, but I didn't get the opportunity just because of time differences. And there was a lot of, we had a lot of obligations when we were out there. We were on schedule. So there was a lot of early waking up and things that the trip was monumental. It was something of the record books. So I'm not gonna do a Joker decoded. I'm gonna do a Joker breakdown, right? Because my brother KT, the arch degree, I'm sure beyond a reasonable doubt that he's going to whatchamacallit, that KT is gonna break it down. He's gonna decode it. He's going to do what needs to be done, right? What I'm gonna do is a simple breakdown about what I picked up from the Joker movie, right? And it's really not that far-fetched. It's not super deep. You know what I mean? It's not something that, you know, the average person with any kind of knowledge. No, I don't have super chat. Never had super chat since you know me. All right. There's never been super chat here. We have Cash App though. Cash App is money sign PHILMORELAND. PHILMORELAND. All right. I'm gonna drop that in the chat room for anybody that needs to utilize that. Oh, y'all appreciated the live streams from the UK? No doubt. I appreciated doing them. I wish I could have did more. But the thing with the UK is that my phone did not work. You know what I'm saying? Like, only time my phone worked was when I had Wi-Fi. That was the only time. Like, I was completely shut off from the world when I was in the UK, and I was semi cool with that. You know, I was semi cool with that, but I wasn't. You know, I was like, fam, like, I hope nothing is going wrong. I hope nothing is happening with the family lamb where they need to get in contact with me, and I'm out here stuck with this with my damn phone not working. But everything worked out. Everybody's good. The babies is good. You know what I mean? They mamas is good. My father is good. My mama's good. So Everything is cool. Okay. And the UK was a life-changing trip. It wasn't just a trip. It was the trip of all trips. I want you to really understand what I'm saying, that when I say that it was a trips of all trips, I'm not being all braggadocio. I'm not fluffing anything up. I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart, from a personal experience, keeping it 100, that was the trip of all trips. Like I'm a different person. The way that I see things are differently. I went over and I activated the left side of my hemisphere of my brain. I activated, I basically connected a part of me that wasn't connected because I've been very local. Even though I travel all throughout the United States of America, I had never been across the pond. You know, I had never been across the pond. And when I was able to relink, because I felt my DNA the minute I landed. Remember, we talked about the morphogenetic grid and whatnot, and and gravitational fields. The minute I stepped off of that plane, the minute I stepped off of that plane, I felt my DNA shifting. I did not feel like I was going on a plane. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. On the plane there, I was semi nervous because I didn't really know where I was getting in. I didn't know, when you go somewhere new, you don't know what you're going to. Like, not nervous, like scared and whatnot. I just didn't know what I was embarking upon. I didn't understand the weight of what it is that I was stepping into. You know what I'm talking about? I didn't even know that I was gonna be around a queen, a real queen, for the amount of time that I was around the queen, who adopted me and my brother as her sons, right? So the minute we get out there, right? The minute we get out there, we go right to Brixton. I'm like, yo, let's go to Brixton. I want to go right to the hood. The minute we get to Brixton, we see two obelisks. They have a thing laid out with two obelisks. They're dedicated to World War II soldiers, right? Then right after that, we go into the marketplace with all of the food and whatnot. Blue Pill goes live and whatnot, right? And somebody spots us right away. A sister who's a songbird. She's a singer. She pulls up on a bike, right? She pulls up on a bike. Like, what are you two doing here? You supposed to, I just saw you on your phone. How are you here? Like, you supposed to be in America. And I'm like, nah, sis, we global now. Like, relax. You know what I'm talking about? Like, be easy. We got this. You know what I mean? We here now. And we started building, you know, and one thing led to another thing. Word got around the marketplace that we have relations with Sabi. And I promise you, this is on everything. You know, I ain't out here embellishing the trip. The marketplace began to form around us, taking pictures and basically shaking our hands, because Dr. Sabi has a wave in the UK unlike anything that I've seen in a very long time. His wave in the United Kingdom is, I'm talking about, there was Arabs taking pictures with us. There was Indians taking pictures with us. There was Africans running down on us like, yo, please, brother, red pill, blue pill, I heard about you 2 minutes ago, and then I googled you. You guys, please. Like, they were very excited to be visited by brothers who they've heard, that they've seen on the internet, and they know who are out here putting on for the people. So the street said more land. I was like, it's over after this. This was the beginning of our trip, mind you. This was the beginning of our trip. I was like, if this is what the trip is going to be about, then my third eye has to be wide open, because this is not just a trip. This is a pilgrimage. This is us returning to claim something that we did not necessarily know that we had, you know? And I'm not going to make this whole show about the going over the trip because we'll be here for a long time. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that when when my brother, when we link up with Nova Felder, brother Yao, and Blue Pill, so we could all go through the trip. But tonight, let's talk about some things. So later on, about a day later, I think it was Saturday, the day after this event that we did in Birmingham, there was like 2,000 people, bro. The shit was completely lit. You'll see it's on our page. My brother went live at the venue. If you go on Know the Ledge Media, make sure y'all subscribe as well. You'll see the video that he uploaded. The shit was, it was lit. So when after the event, we went to go see the Joker. Now, boom. By show of hands, press 1 if you saw the Joker. Okay? The Joker, this Joker is a standalone movie. Standalone meaning that it's not in the DC comic book universe, right? It's not in the DC comic book universe. It's a standalone origin story. What's an origin story? An origin story is a story about one's origin, right? So this is the origin of what you know today as the Joker. So the story is basically it's a psycho thriller. Okay? That's what it shows up as when you go and look at it. It is a psycho thriller. Okay? It's not it's not a it's not an action movie, right? It's not a superhero movie, right? It is a psychological thriller. So it's working on the mind and it's a thriller. It's meant to be shocking, shock and awe type of thing. The minute I started watching it, I started picking up on things. Like I said, this is a breakdown. This is not a decoding of it. This is a breakdown of it. So the minute I started watching it, I'm like, hold on. The character that Joaquin Phoenix, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, the character that he's portraying, right? Let me show you some of the notes because this is going into the American Gods lecture. So I can't give you everything, but this is gonna go into the American Gods lecture. So I'll just point it to the screen while I go through it. Okay. So these are the Joker adverts, right? He's in the hood. This movie was shot in 1980s New York City. They captured the motherfucking feeling of the city in ways that I have not seen before. Now, one of the movies that it basically fed off of what movie was that? What movie was that? It's a movie that just came out, I believe, and it might have been The Irishman. To be honest with you, it might be The Irishman because remember, Scorsese was supposed to be behind the movie, right? No, I'm not saying Taxi. I'm gonna get into Taxi Driver. I'm gonna get into Taxi Driver. What I'm saying is not it filmed. There's another movie that just got filmed that's using the New York City backdrop, and they basically used the set in order to make this movie. They shared the sets. That's all I'm saying. So the tagline for the movie is "Put on a happy face," right? Put on a happy face despite all of the mental health. Put on a happy face despite all of the psychosis that's going on in your brain. Put on a happy face despite the fact that you're a fucking psychotic maniac. I was like, well, God damn it. This sounds like a group of people that I'm familiar with. Okay? So Martin Scorsese is making a gritty and grounded Joker movie with Todd Phillips. This was the first time that I heard about the Joker, is because people were so crazy and hype that that Martin Scorsese was behind it, right? But To our dismay, Martin Scorsese quietly left the Joker movie. Okay. But it doesn't matter if he left it or not, because Martin Scorsese's fingerprints are completely all over the movie. The Joker movie is a conglomerate, it's a juxtaposition of three of his movies: Taxi Driver, The King of Comedy, and Raging Bull. Okay? So here's the plot of it. In Gotham City, mentally troubled comedian Arthur Fleck embarks on a downward spiral of social revolution and bloody crime. This path brings him face to face with his infamous alter ego, the Joker. Joker centers around an origin of the iconic arch nemesis and is an original standalone story not seen before on the big screen. Todd Phillips' exploration of Arthur Fleck, a man disregarded by society, is not only a gritty character study but also a broader cautionary tale. Arthur Fleck works as a clown and is an inspiring stand-up comic. He has mental health issues, part of which involves uncontrollable laughter. Times are tough, and due to his issues and occupation, Arthur has an even worse time than most. Over time, these issues bear down on him, shaping his actions, making him ultimately take on the persona he is more known as the Joker. Arthur Fleck is a wannabe stand-up comic who suffers from many mental illnesses, including one which causes him to laugh uncontrollably when he is nervous and often gets him into bad situations. Arthur's mental health causes almost all people in society to reject and look down upon him, even though all he wants is to be accepted by others. After being brutally beaten, having his medication cut off, and being publicly humiliated by the comedian he idolizes, Arthur's life begins to spiral downward out of control into delusions, violence, and anarchy until he eventually transforms into Gotham's infamous clown, Prince of Crime. Okay? So I'm gonna give you, these are spoiler alerts. Okay. I'm gonna be going into some stuff that was already spoke. I'm gonna go into some stuff that people might not know about if they didn't see the movie. But you gotta be in on it. Now, automatically, when I began to watch the movie, I said to myself, this reminds me of a group of people who I've been researching over the years, and they fit this description almost to a T. And these people that I'm referring to is the Eastern European Jew, the one who founded what you know today as Hollywood. Now, I spoke about this book before, and I'm really telling, I'm really, I'm just suggesting that anybody that wants to get into the research of one of the most effective weapons in the toolbox of the quote-unquote programmer or the architect or the oppressor or whatever you want to call them, because people come up with colorful names. This book is a must read. So this book, Empire of Their Own, is a must have. There's a documentary called Hollywoodism. All right? There's a documentary called Hollywoodism that you could check out if you don't want to read a book. You know what I mean? Because everybody don't have time to read books and whatnot. So if you don't want to read the book, you could go and check out Hollywoodisms. And that is a breakdown of the Empire of Their Own. You dig? Can you see? Hold on. Can you see the image? Let me know if you could see the image. It's a black screen. Okay, give me a minute. Let me see what we could do. Man. don't know why the screen is black. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I don't know I don't know what's going on. Okay. It's a blackout. All right, so if you could hear, then we just might have to go with the audio, man. You know how this shit goes, man. You know. You know how it goes. But that's not gonna stop what it is that we have to do. Like I said, Empire of Their Own. All right. The author's name is Neil Gabler. Okay, Neil Gabler. That's Nealgabler. All right, go and check him out. Okay, so let me read from the book so you get a better understanding as to why I am drawing comparisons between the Joker, right, and the quote unquote Jews who control and who have built Hollywood. Because I simply discovered, just by watching the movie, that they're talking about a group of people. They're referring to a group of people, and it was given more credulence. It was given more fire when there was a scene in the movie where a comedian made a joke about Jewish people, and he didn't find it funny when he was at the comedy club. He had an awkward laugh. He didn't find it funny because, that's who they're talking about. So look, in an empire of their own, how the Jews invented Hollywood, Neil Gabler attempts to overcome this problem. Hold on. 5 of the 6 major studios were headed by Jews, marginal to and discriminated against by dominant Protestant culture. Jewish lawyers, Jewish writers, Jewish agents, Jewish producers, Jewish exhibitors control much of the nascent film industry. Coming from similar impoverished Eastern European backgrounds at the end of the 19th century, they created an industry that had tremendous power to shape and idealize American culture. The images and ideas which they presented on the motion picture screens, Gabler writes, paradoxically colonized the American imagination. Okay? The movies were quintessentially American, while the men who made them were not. The Hollywood Jews emerged as moguls during a period of rampant xenophobia. They were outsiders longing for acceptance, looking in on the respectable gentility of the Protestant world from which they were excluded. Remember when I speak about the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, right? The white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, those are the WASP. Those are the blue bloods. That's high-born society. That's the Waynes. The Waynes in this movie, that's Thomas Wayne and Bruce Wayne. They will be seen as high-born society. He wanted to be included into that society. He wanted to be accepted as the illegitimate son of the WASP, right? He wanted Thomas Wayne to accept him. He was telling his mother, Penny, call him, send him letters, both of them wanted the acceptance. And then when the mother said that when he read the note, and the note basically said that Thomas Wayne was his illegitimate father, that even pushed him further to be accepted by high-born society, the billionaire, the blue bloods, the quote-unquote, the white Anglo-Saxons. And here he was, a hunchback, frail, fragile, living with his mother, socially awkward, on medication, right? Don't have nothing to say to the ladies, are kind of awkward around women. Who does that remind you of? Who is the quote unquote prototype for that kind of breakdown? That, when you look at it, not my opinion. I'm not being what is called racist. I'm not being what is called facetious and whatnot. I'm only speaking of prototypes. I'm speaking about archetypes. I'm pointing to something that is known by anybody in society when they speak about a group of people. We know that the Jew, prior to what you know as Hollywood, prior to Hollywood, fit that prototype. Okay? Let me read some more. The Hollywood Jews had much in common. Most of them had fathers who were financial failures and mothers who were adored. Most were immigrants from Eastern Europe. Very few practiced their Jewish religion, yet almost all of them depend on Jewish control institutions for financing. Most had family connections that aided them in their business. Most had little formal education. These generalizations provide the basis for Gabler's psych, psychologizing of non-Jews as well. Frank Capra, one of the great cinematic geniuses, maintained a strange symbiotic relationship with Harry Cohen of Columbia Pictures. Capra was Italian and not Jewish, as was the founder of the Bank of Italy, Armando Peter Gianni. When non-Jewish controlled banks refused loans to the new film industry, Gianni formed an alliance with the Jews of Hollywood and backed their productions. Gabler's explanations of this anomaly is that Capra and Gianni, like the Hollywood Jews, were marginal to the cultural establishment and had similar European impoverished backgrounds. Outsiders united against the powerful common enemy, who was the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right? As for Darryl Zanuck of Warner Brothers, the fact that he was not Jewish did not appear. Okay. So one of the things that took place in Europe that people don't actually speak about, if you're not into the history, is something called the pogroms, right? The pogroms were basically when the Jews were being terrorized and the Jews were being murdered they were being lynched, all right? The better word for that is that they were being lynched, okay? They were being ran down upon in their settlements. Their settlements were called ghettos. Their settlements were called ghettos. Before black people were moved into what is known as ghettos with projects, the first inhabitants of those ghettos, both in Europe and in the Americas, were the Jews. When you see the Joker movie, he's in the ghetto. All of the shots that I just showed you, the adverts for the poster, he's in the ghetto, he's in the projects. They got the project buildings behind him. You understand? He's in the hood. And when they paint the picture of this 1980s Gotham and whatnot, which is basically a 1980s New York, you basically see that aspect of the ghetto. You see that aspect of the hood. Okay? So these pogroms were basically why a lot of the Jews fled from their countries and came over to the Americas, and other places in Europe. Okay. So let me read something about the pogroms so we have a better understanding. What were some of the worst pogroms in history? Pogroms continue to occur in the early 20th century. Particularly violent were the pogroms from 1903 to 1906. The horrific 1903 pogrom in Kishinev, in what is now Moldova, killed dozens of Jews and resulted in the destruction of hundreds of homes and businesses, prompting tens of thousands of Russian Jews to flee. The Zionist poet Haim Naiman Bailik wrote his famous poem, City of Slaughter, in response to the Kishinev pogrom. The 1905 pogrom in Odessa left about 2,500 Jews dead. The 1919 Cossacks led a pogrom in Kiev, which is Russia, in which they killed 14 people and injured and raped others. Now, this is interesting when you read about the pogroms, because basically what's going on in Palestine when the Israeli settlers are taking land are the same thing that basically was happening to them. You know, when these Palestinians are getting run off of their land and whatnot, and they're getting pillaged, and then their communities are being pillaged, you know, there's pogroms taking place. There's pogroms taking place. So these pogroms created a very psychological disposition, right, in the minds of what we know now today as Jews, who, as black people, we don't understand these people. I need y'all to put them thumbs up, though. We don't understand these people. We do not understand the psychosis. We don't understand why these people are in bed with the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, or AKA the system. We don't have a better understanding about them because we're not allowed to even learn about them, because they're not taught about, they don't teach us about these people in school. Why? Maybe because they designed the curriculum. All right. So what factors led to the pogroms? The main inspiration for these vicious attacks was the ideology of anti-Semitism, which blamed Jews for the weakened economic conditions and political instability, in addition to the claim that Jews murdered Jesus, and the blood libel myth that Jews murdered Christian babies and baked their blood into matzvah. So blood libel, right? Blood libel, the spilling of innocent blood, blood libel, the murdering of children, blood libel. All of this is going to factor in as I show you what's going on in this movie. Blood libel, the fact that the Jews were drinking blood of, you know, innocent children. That harkens back to what we know as adrenochrome, what we talked about in the Into Deep series, which is the quote unquote blood of young children that has secreted a particular enzyme, or a particular, you know, a particular enzyme that's basically an elixir that is sought after by many people in power. Many people in power today. Okay, yeah, there's a movie with Brad Pitt about it. It's also mentioned in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. All right. Okay. It's also mentioned in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas with Johnny Depp. So remember what I was talking about when I said that aspect. I'm going to get back to that. So the Jews were basically being burned. The Jews were basically being ran out and whatnot. And, you know, they came to America. They're not functionally white. They're not considered white. All right. And when they invented Hollywood, what they did is they created a version of America that never existed. They created a version of America that was not true. Okay? They colonized America's image of themselves. Okay? Let me read this real quick. An empire of their own, how the Jews invented Hollywood. Perhaps the point of Neil Gabler's lively history is like the story of the three blind men who tried to describe an elephant. Countless observers have written brilliantly about the tail and trunk of Hollywood, but no book has quite gotten to the whole animal that Mr. Gabler does. The point of his book is that the American film industry, which Hill Hayes, president of the Original Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, called the quintessence of what we mean by America. Okay? Was founded and for more than 30 years operated by Eastern European Jews who themselves seem to be anything but the quintessence of America. But above all things, these moguls wanted to be regarded as Americans, not Jews. They wanted to reinvest themselves here as new men. And in doing so, the Hollywood Jews created a powerful cluster of images and ideas, so powerful that, in a sense, they colonized the American imagination. Mr. Gabler, a film critic and teacher who has served as a co-host on the Public Broadcasting System's television show, does two significant things with the theory he has identified. First, he uses it as an organizing principle for a narrative history of Hollywood. Second, he employs it to explain his characters, why they created a Hollywood in the first place, why they made the films they did, why they behaved as they did while making those films. The first use is successful on the whole. He traces a handful of Jewish movie moguls throughout their long careers. Adolf Zucker of Paramount Pictures, Carl Laemmle of Universal Pictures, William Fox of Fox Film Corporation, Louis B. Mayer of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, Harry and Jack Warner of Warner Brothers, and Harry Cohn of Columbia Pictures. By doing so, he has found a way of telling the whole story that is compact and inclusive, almost to the point of making one worry with the book, if misread, could provide fuel for anti-Semitism. The second use has both its successes and its failures. He persuades us that Hollywood Jews were driven by a patrimony of failure, their fathers having by and large been destitute and ineffectual, and that the movie industry attracted them because it presented fewer social and financial impediments and because it demanded the sort of judgments of public taste that people from fashion and retail were practiced at making. Even better, he convincingly connects the backgrounds and personalities of various studio moguls to the characteristic of the films their respective companies produce, the economy and speed of Warner's, the screwball inventiveness of Columbia's, the continental sheen of Paramount's, and the air of unreality of MGM's, just to mention the most obvious labels. So, the movie deals with identity, okay? The Joker deals with identity issues. There's an identity issue. He says that he's been unnoticed. Nobody notices him. He's going unnoticed in society. He's fatherless. His father is not there. So by proxy, because he's taking care of his mother as if he was the father. Remember, he was in a bathtub washing his mama up. He has a weird relationship with his mother, a very weird relationship with his mother, a relationship that I heard that Jewish men are said to have with their mothers, okay? The way that he was built with his hunchback, with his frail frame, he was built like an Eastern European Jew. If you look at the way he has a hunchback and the way that his rib cages are sticking out, that's not an American from the South. That's not a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant that's not a pedigree and a stock of a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. That is the stock of an Eastern European who was looked down upon as frail when they were doing the pogroms and whatnot, when they were burning them, when they were chasing them down. All of these things, that's what they were saying about this Jew. He was not the Khazarian, the Khazars, the Ashkenazis and whatnot. So there's another book that I want you to get. I wish you guys could see the images because it's all images right now and it's kind of dope. It's called Life, the Movie, How Entertainment Conquered Reality. It's from the same author, Neil Gabler. All right. Then he also does a book on Walt Disney, The Triumph of an American Imagination, Neil Gabler. All right. So one of the things that you begin to see in the movie that really spoke to me, and it pointed out the aspect of how this thing is really dealing with telling you the story, the origin story of the Jew in America, is every scene that you saw him with from the beginning of the movie, he was in front of a black woman. Before he becomes the Joker, their melanated people are featured prominently in this movie. His psychiatrist, his social worker, right, is a black woman. The lady on the bus, when he was sitting on the bus coming from his social worker, That was a black woman. Remember when the child was playing with him and he had to hand her a note because he was laughing uncontrollably? That was a black woman. The lady who he fetishes, the woman who he fetishes in the elevator, who is his neighbor, is a black woman. Now, why do I bring this up? Because when we talk about the relationship between the Jew and the African American, the relationship between the Jew and the African American, when you really think about it, when you really think about the American Jew, I'm talking about the male, the man. Who does the American Jewish man fetish over the most outside of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant woman? The black woman is intricately connected to the white Jewish man in so many ways. The majority of social workers are black. Because remember, the American Jew, the American Jewish man and the American Jewish woman are some of the biggest mental health patients that you have in America. They are on medications that you can even pronounce. And who do they sit in front of and basically unload this toxicness to? Who do they sit in front of who caters to them, who nurtures them, who basically, what's the word? What's the word that I'm looking at? Coddles them. Who's known to be the coddler of the Jewish male? Who is the Jewish male infatuated with sexually? Who, when that man has sex with this woman, they are considered to be a real Jew. That is the black woman. Okay? In Jewish society, you are not considered to be a real man until you bed a black woman. Now, you are not considered to be cool in Jewish society until you got you some black box. Now, let's go back to Hollywood. Let's go back into what happened in Hollywood when these quote unquote producers, not just the studio owners, but let's talk about Jewish men in particular and how Hollywood and the casting couch was utilized by these Jewish studio owners to bed as many black women as possible. And as a result of these white men, these Jewish awkward men, these hunchback, weird Eastern European, scary ass, frail, fragile men, as a result of them continuously bedding black women, after years and years and decades, these Jewish men began to have some swag about them. These Jewish men began to have a little bit of motherfucking balls to them. These Jewish men began to have a little bit of, they had a little bop in their step. Why? Because they were tapping in to something that was giving them that power. Now, in the movie, the way that I was able to draw the correlation to could show you how not just the fetishing of black women is something that the Jewish man he holds very high. He holds very high in regards to something. When the Joker, right, caught that body, two things happened to show you how this is the story of the Jew. When he caught that body, when he killed those 3 bankers, right? He killed 3 bankers on the train. The Jew is the banker, all right? The Jew is historically known as the moneylender. He's the banker. So the Jew killed the quote-unquote 3 bankers on the train. Then he went into a room and started dancing, right? But this time, when he was dancing, he had a rhythm to him. So the bloodletting, blood libel, the spilling of blood did what? It began to give him some kind of rhythm because he went and he started dancing and whatnot. And the dancing wasn't necessary. I know my screen is black. We already been through this. All right. Send YouTube an email and tell him thank you for blacking this man's screen out while he's going in. So here he goes. He's dancing. He's having he has rhythm now. Okay, he has this rhythm now. All right, and then right after the rhythm, right after he gets some rhythm, where does he go? Right after he discovers that he has some rhythm as a result of, yeah, the dance was ritualistic. It was a death dance, right? The minute that he caught that body and after he went dancing, he went to go fuck that black woman. All right? He went right to her, he went and knocked on her door, and the minute she opened up the door, he went up in the building and he went up in her apartment and he had sex with her, right? And then the next scene where you see him, he's not as awkward as he was before. He's not as hunchback as he was before. He's a little bit of upright now. Okay? He's a little bit focused. Okay? So the the Jew in Hollywood and the Jew every time afterward, because what the Jew did in Hollywood was they elevated the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant culture and they basically denigrated and desecrated African culture or black culture or Ados culture. You know what I'm talking about, with the black face that they were doing. With all of the blackface, with all of the blackface that they were basically into, jazz singer Al Johnston, all of the quote unquote, and then all of the casting our people as either mammies, sambos, coons. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's black girl magic. You damn right. That's why black girls should be very mindful of their magic and not give it away to anybody, not even these niggas. You know what I mean? Because they done fuck shit up. What film am I speaking of? Joker. I'm talking about the Joker movie. So, well, Joker, he didn't necessarily run up in a black woman, because I'm giving out spoiler alerts. If you did not see the movie, I mean, I don't know what to say because I'm spoiling it right now with the alerts. But later on down the line, towards the end of the movie, it came to find out that all of this was an illusion. It was in his head. He never really slept with the black woman. You dig? He never really slept with the black woman. He just envisioned it. He basically was going delusional, and in his mind, because he wasn't man enough to satisfy her or to basically have her attracted to him, he was fantasizing sleeping with her. But that doesn't take away the fact of what took place. Okay? So his social worker, the first social worker that he encountered, who told him that the medication will be taken from him, the one who was able to bring sanity to his insanity, the one who was able to take all of his, the same way that the Jew does today, black people, black women especially, with all of the shows that they put out, Basketball Wives, with all of the pornography that they produce, with all of the killing that they have, with all of the misogyny, with everything that comes from Hollywood. And Hollywood is TV, radio, movies, video, everything entertainment is Hollywood. And the person who is responsible for that is the American, now they're American, but it's the Eastern European Jew. So we taking all of their psychosis, we taking all of their craziness, we taking all of their fragmented mentality. They have neuroses. And we basically do what? We absorb it. We take it in. We absorb. Yeah, he killed the black doctor at the end, but I'm speaking about the first psychiatrist that he seen. Everybody that he sat in front of who was diagnosing him was a black woman. So they prominently featured them in the film to show you something and to speak to something that is going on. Okay? The same thing happened in American Psycho with Christian Bale, another movie that I had on a few occasions told the family, please go and see that. Because that is speaking about the psychosis of the quote unquote lone. That this movie, The Joker, is the quote unquote, this is going to be the Bible for the lone gunmen. It's going to be the Bible for the sleeper cells and the white terrorists. This is what they were waiting for. Okay? Yeah, Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale, American Psycho. That's the Joker before the Joker came out. All right? It's dealing with the same sort of thing. Okay? So let me read an article about the movie Joker. Todd Phillips' Joker captures all the artifice of Scorsese's movies without any of the soul. All right? So Martin Scorsese was going to be the person behind the Joker, but he backed out. But that didn't mean that they didn't take all of his movies and put them into one. So Taxi Driver, right, is the most blatant observation. From the outset, Joker most noticeably resembles Taxi Driver. Phillips' film has a grainy brown, red, yellow color palette. The characters feel trapped in their dingy and inhumane low-income apartments. The film takes place around a seedy Giuliani, Times Square, and like Manhattan and Taxi Driver, Phillips' Gotham City is scum-infested and absolutely merciless. Fleck even hangs out in a working-class locker room full of other loners and Times Square types. One of these men in Fleck's circle is played by Glenn Flesher, who resembles the towering presence of the character Wizard in Taxi Driver. But where Wizard provided the voice of reason in Taxi Driver, Flesher's similar character is inexplicably malicious. And he basically gives him the gun. Go and look up Taxi Driver. Like I said, if you want to see this lecture, it is going to be on October 13th. It's going to be live streamed. The link is in the description bar. The link is in the description bar. So make sure you go ahead and check that. Everybody who basically purchased tickets for American Gods Part 2, y'all all right. Y'all on deck. You know what I mean? Just get ready for that email to let you know that we'll be going live on the 13th. I believe that's the day before Christopher Columbus. So, you know, that's perfect. We get to bun him right before the quote unquote Christopher Columbus Day. Okay. So this is the plot of Taxi Driver. In 1976, Travis Bickle is a lonely, depressed 26-year-old, honorably discharged U.S. Marine and Vietnam War veteran living in isolation in New York City. He takes a job as a night shift taxi driver to cope with his chronic insomnia, driving passengers around the city's boroughs. He frequents porn theaters and keeps a diary in which he consciously attempts to include aphorisms such as, "You're only as healthy as you feel." Now, in the movie The Joker, his aphorism was what? Because he had one too. And it opened up and it showed you what that was. And that was this: put on a happy face. Put on a happy face. Okay? Yes, he wanted to kill he wanted to kill. Yeah, they said that movie inspired the Reagan assassination attempt. Because in the movie, he wants to kill a presidential candidate, and he also wants to kill a pimp named Sport, right? So the other movie that this is taken from is called The King of Comedy. That is a dark comedy by Martin Scorsese where Robert De Niro plays the opposite of what he's playing in this movie. In The Joker, Robert De Niro is like Johnny Carson, but in The King of Comedy, Robert De Niro is somewhat like the Joker, and his role is being played by Jerry Lewis. Okay? All right? How do you get tickets? You get tickets by going right to the description bar of this video and go to the Eventbrite. Okay? So he wanted to be a king of comedy. He basically kidnaps Jerry Lewis, ties him up, and then he opens up his show for him. Basically, is basically both of the movies are straight knockoffs of the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and whatnot. And he ties him up. He does anything. So that's what you see in the Joker movie with all of this comedy shit and him, you know, basically doing that. And then the third movie that he's basically borrowing from is Raging Bull. All right. These are all Martin Scorsese movies, but the two major movies is Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. I don't know if my father showed me King of Comedy when I was like 12 years old. So I remember that forever with Sandra Bernhardt It's a very dark comedy, but it's funny nonetheless. So one of the things that Joker says is the worst thing about having mental illness is people expecting you to behave as if you don't, right? The worst part about having mental illness is people expecting you to behave as if you don't. What does that speak to? Because when I heard that, I was like, yo, that speaks to society at large right now. You know, there's a huge today is mental awareness or mental illness day. You know, people think that all right, hold on. Let me finish before I go into my commentary. When the man the world has ignored lashes out off his meds, armed and in his best clown makeup, the world has to notice. Okay? So it's that's been going on since Trump came into office, and even before that there's been people off of their med who have been ignored, lashing out, armed, and they in their best clown makeup. They're in white face. Remember, he's in the opposite of black face. He's in white face. All right? He's in white face. The white face that he's in are all of these lone wolf shooters. Every single profile of these shooters in America are lonely. They were not recognized. The whole red pill movement, men going their own way. They're saying that we aren't being recognized. All of the alt-right, y'all will not, we will not be replaced and all of that. The 14 letters, they are saying that they're not being recognized. AKA, they not getting no box. They women don't want them. They're not procreating. They're dying off. Their women don't want them. Everywhere where black men is at, they out. The women is choosing. White women is choosing. Right? White women is choosing, nigga. I've been around the world and I seen it. White women is choosing. They don't want those white men. They don't want those you know, frail, hunchback. You know, they don't want those men. Okay, they don't want Happy Wayne. They want them some. They want them. They want some motherfucking. You know what I mean? They they want some melanin. You know what I'm talking about? They want some melanin. That's what they going after. You know. So it takes me to another character that is being mimicked in this movie, and that's Bernard Getz. So if anybody in New York City, you should be familiar with Bernie Getz. You should be familiar with Bernard Getz. That's another thing, because if you're not familiar with Bernard Getz, go and do your research. Bernard Getz fit the profile of this clown. Bernard Getz fits the profile of this frail, hunchback, and that nigga's a Scorpio too. Keep that in mind. He's born November 7th. You know what I'm talking about? He's called a subway vigilante. He turned the tides in New York with his vigilante isms. Okay, what do I mean? What I mean is around the time of his attack, or around the time of his 1984, around the time of his vigilante move, New York City was a crime-ridden Gotham City. White people were being robbed. They were being pillaged in New York City. They could not ride the train. It was nothing like the New York City that some of you people who are tourists visited. It looked exactly like the Joker movie that you saw. It was dangerous. It was lit. And white people was getting their pockets dug. They was getting, and especially Jewish white men. Because keep in mind, Jewish white men were easy targets for the robbers in New York City because they were frail, they were not aggressive, they would not fight back, and they were super shook, and they had a lot of money on them. They used to hide it in their socks, okay? And they used to have money belts. So the robbers were they were stripping them, they were taking their pants off and all of that because they used to have diamonds on them in the money belts. They used to have diamonds on them. So Bernard Getz, He became the subway vigilante, right? He clapped 3 black men, and he did the same thing that the Joker did in the video. He shot them down, and then he walked on top of one of them, and he shot him in his back. 4 of them. It was 4 teenagers. Thank you for the cash app. I appreciate you. He shot one of them in his back. They asked him to give. They said, "Give me your money." He wouldn't give them their money, so they got to basically, they got to getting, shit. They got to doing what they do. You know what I'm talking about? They got to doing what they do, and they got their ass clapped up. You know what I'm saying? And one of them they didn't get killed, but one of them got crippled for life, right? So the interesting part about Bernard Getz is later on, he gets locked up in 2013 for selling weed and whatnot. This nigga is a vigilante in New York selling weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, how crazy is that? But that trial got a lot of white people in a bag. That trial got a lot of people who would necessarily, who used to be very intimidated, by their environment. It gave them some heart. It basically turned the tides. And then when the crime bill and other things started coming, well, when Giuliani came in 92, I think, and some other things followed up, then, New York was basically a wrap. It was a wrap, you know. So that is, yeah, he took down the mob. Giuliani took the mob down. He's an Italian himself. You know, he took them after he took the mob down, he basically took down niggas. You know what I mean? He took down all elements of niggerdom in New York City. He shut down the weed spots. He clamped down on the clubs. He sent people who were basically doing petty crimes. He sent them niggas up the river with football numbers. You know what I'm talking about? He stepped up prosecution on everything flying in New York. And, a lot of fathers and uncles and things like that is missing as a result. But hey, you live and you learn, right? So, yeah, somebody say he's about to take Donald Trump down. It's only poetic justice. You know what I mean? It's only poetic justice. He was the mayor in New York City when 9/11 happened. He was in on something. You know what I mean? He was in on something. He got a lot of blood on his hands. So we see the vortex of karma basically active and coming back. And a lot of those old characters in that theater, they're being washed up. But anyway, so then there's a scene after he killed to show you about this rhythm thing and this dancing thing. There's 3 dancing scenes. There's the scene that he killed the 3 men on a train. Then after he killed the 2 people who came to his house, remember the 2 clowns that came to his house after his mother died, or after he killed his mother and they found out about it, after he killed them, right? He was dancing down the stairs. Remember? He was dancing and whatnot. He had rhythm. He was dancing down the stairs. Da 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 da. And then after that, when the police chased him in the train station and he was able to get away on a train, then he had a little dance there. Then he had a little diddy bop when he got away and whatnot. He was dancing. So, yeah, he danced when the cops got jumped. You know what I mean? But after the cop shed blood, after the cop killed somebody innocently. So the more blood is being spilled, the more madness, the more chaos, he began to get rhythm. Okay? He began to get his swag back. You know what I mean? He began to become more comfortable in his skin. So, that reminds me of certain kind of people who are out here spirit cooking. That reminds me of a certain type of people who are very socially awkward, but after the advent of Hollywood, after the advent of all of these things that have basically not necessarily done society a service, as much as it has poisoned, as much as it has basically, you know, as much as it has, you know, I'm talking about Hollywood. I'm talking about San Fernando Valley, the pornography industry. I'm talking about all of this. I'm talking about the depictions of our people on film. I'm speaking about it all. I'm speaking about it all. These people have become more rhythmatic. These people have become more comfortable. These people have become more Americanized as a result of all of the pain and all of the suffering and all of the bloodletting and all of the blood libel, all of these things that have been taking place in American society that they're intricately woven into the fabric of these days, you know, and it's very interesting, you know, it's very interesting. So that movie to me is a depiction on of white of Jew, not white, the the Khazars and the Ashkenazi Jew, the Eastern European who is in America, the Joker. He's the trickster. He's the Joker. He's the one who plays the middle. He's the one who puts on a smile. Okay? He's the one who plays like, you know, he'll play as you know how clowns play with children and they're unsuspecting, or you know, they're basically like clowns. But if you turn your back, those clowns turn into the clown from It, Pennywise, motherfucking Ronald McDonald, and this nigga right here, the Joker. These are clowns. These people are never to be trusted. They have two faces. They're in white face. They're not in black face anymore. The American Jew is in white face. Keep that in mind. They're not considered white. These are not white people, but they are in white face, like the Joker is. You know what I'm talking about? So one of the things that happened this weekend to show me that the ancestors are at work is when I saw Tyler Perry opening up his studios. Keep in mind, we're talking about the Joker movie and the correlation that it has to the quote unquote studio, you know, the fathers of the quote unquote studios, right? So here we have a black man. I believe, is he LBGT? What is he? Here we have a black man who has come along and basically has purchased an old Confederate base, right? And he turned that Confederate base into what? Into a black owned studio. Okay? Into the biggest black owned studio that we've seen in America since Hollywood, or since moving pictures were created. All right? It is a historical feat. Now, one of the things about this historical feat that I need you to understand, that's why we need to, well, let me just do this real quick. Let me just do this real quick. And I'm not being facetious. I'm just reminding the family about our good brother Tyler Perry and what he's responsible for producing. Okay. Now I know that the film studio is not going to be exclusively for Medea movies. I know that the film studio isn't going to be a LBGT, you know, film studio. I know that the film studio is not going to be a film studio to see our people in subservient roles, right? I know that that's not what it's going to be. But these are the movies. When you do the discography search on Tyler Perry, this is what we're dealing with. So this is very important. This is not me taking a shot at a black man who's doing big things and whatnot, because I commend him. But like the empire of their own, there were 5 studios. It's not one studio. There were 5 studios. It started as one. One of them started. I forgot which one. I think it was Cone. They started with one studio. But for the Jewish people and the Jewish producers and the Jewish owners, there were 5 to 6 of them. Okay? So we not stopping at Tyler Perry. He set it off. But I just came from the UK. I'm about to go to Africa. I promise you that what he just did has sparked the mind of millionaires and billionaires who have melanin around the world. All we need is one to set it off. Build it and they will come. All we need is one to set it off. We were talking about godlyhood on many different shows. We were invoking godlyhood. We were explaining that the most powerful institution in America is Hollywood. They are forming, they are shaping the reality that they have captured a reality. They have captured the imaginations. They are the quote unquote, it's the crown of the jewel. It's the crown, it's the jewel, it's the top crown. It's the capstone of the pyramid. So what he did by opening up his studio, which was functioning before, because remember Black Panther was filmed inside of the his studios, the new one, right? And he sold his old one to some Latins, to some Hispanic brothers, a group of 2 Hispanic brothers. I'll get to that in a minute. This is his discography. 2005, Diary of a Mad Black Woman, right? 2005, Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Tyler Perry's Madea Family Reunion. Tyler Perry's Daddy's Little Girls. Tyler Perry, Why Did I Get Married? 2008, Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns. Tyler Perry, The Family That Prays. Tyler Perry, Madea Goes to Jail. Tyler Perry's I Could Do Bad All By Myself. Tyler Perry, Medea's Big Happy Family. Tyler Perry's Why Did I Get Married 2? For Color Girls. Tyler Perry's Good Deeds. Tyler Perry's Madea Witness Protection. All right. Tyler Perry's Temptation. Tyler Perry's A Madea Christmas. The Single Moms Club. Gone Girl. Boo, A Madea Halloween. Boo 2, A Madea Halloween. Tyler Perry's Acrimony. Tyler Perry's A Madea Family Funeral. Now listen. I am in no way here to judge this man. But this is what cannot happen going into the future with this man in his studio. We cannot allow more of these movies to come out of that studio. Okay? I understand that he had to do what he had to do to get where he's at. But now that we have a studio in Atlanta, Georgia, in College Park, my niggas, right in the motherfucking A, what they call Black Hollywood. He has now created Black Hollywood is now Black Hollywood. There are going to be millions and billions of dollars floating through Black Hollywood, ATL, okay? You are going to see LBGT movies coming out of that studio. Epic. I'm talking about they're going to be doing Ben-Hur LBGT type shit. Like motherfucking, you know, like where we have to go. Black men and black women who are not of that persuasion. We need to bum rush those studios as writers. It is extremely important that you begin to bring your scripts, that you begin to bring writers groups. Writers groups have to start in Atlanta right now. Creative writing groups. We need these writing groups. We need all hands on deck to pull up and to make sure that you do not get left out of the motherfucking about what's to happen. Because It's about to step up. It's either going to be one or two things. Either the programming is going to step up, or our people have now, we have an opportunity to reverse the curse. In 2019, 400 years after this quote unquote curse has been bestowed upon us. I know it goes back further, but we have the opportunity in 2019 going into 2020 to change everything around. You cannot complain about the movies that are not being made if you don't write them up. You cannot complain about the movies that are not being made if you don't get together and help produce them. You could not complain about the epics. Where's the Moorish epic? Where's Garvey's story? Where's this story? Where's the story of us in space? Where's the story of what nigga did you write it? Do you know? Do you have a writing team? Do you have the script? Do you have the script? Where's our Love Jones? Where's our heterosexual black couples coming together and da? Where's our black superhero movies? Where's our movie on Hey Rue? Where's our movie on all of these? Well, guess what? Now is the time. We're talking about utilizing your quantum mind, because in the quantum universe, the probabilities of basically all of these things taking place, now the probabilities are here, whereas they might not have been there before. Now with this studio, now with a lot of people in Atlanta's minds being sparked to be part of the creative endeavors of fixing our image on a global basis, because I just came from across the pond. We need rehabilitation for our images, because our negative imagery and things of that nature are affecting the individuals who look up to us and who basically feed or they eat from our plate all around the world on all four corners of this planet. So it's indicative of us right now to get it going. All right, to get it going. My mind is sparked. I hope your minds are sparked. You know what I'm saying? Because we can have an empire of our own. We could colonize the American mind through film. We could colonize the global mind through the arts and the sciences, but the arts like playwriting, theater, film, documentaries. Shout out to Tariq Nasheed. He'll be able to do full-length featured films in studios like that. It's it's very possible. It's extremely possible at the end of the day. Go and look at how his studio is built out. He got a replica of the White House. He got trailer parks. He has historical antebellum South neighborhood. I mean, it looks fabulous. It looks like the movie sets that you see in these old Hollywood productions. 330 acres. And I promise you, it's going to spark. This is the 100 monkey theory. It's going to spark the minds of these millionaires, these black millionaires, and they just not in America. Akon got people in Africa with funding. You got people in Dubai. You got brothers in Dubai that's out here holding on some real heavy money. You got athletes that are in soccer in the UK. You got all of these people who have expendable income, who know something needs to be done. Now, what they just, Red Pill Studios, I could see that. Now, what they just saw Tyler Perry do, it was non-violent, it was non-confrontational. You know what I'm talking about? He did it in silence, the way that people respect things. And what can you say? Nigga, it's a touchdown. So there's going to be more studios coming. Somebody's going to outdo him and do 400 acres. Then somebody's going to outdo that and do 440 acres. You know how our people are. You know what I'm talking about? You know how our people are. And that's, that money is going to get, that the money is going to come. It's going to come. There's not going to, them people is not going to be that much in debt. They're going to get rewarded for their works. So that's something that I'm encouraging the family to put into their mind's eye. Remember, this lecture that I'm doing with Brother Rich is talking about brain hacking and theta waves. You understand? We're talking about creating reality in real time. We're talking about manipulating reality in real time by hacking your brain. So it's time to hack our brains. We got to hack our minds. You have to basically, if you are a screenwriter, hack your brain and put us in a place where we're winning. That's what the American Jew did for the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. Those movies in Hollywood, that's not how America looked. That was not America. They created a false America, and then America conformed to that image of false America that you were seeing on those Hollywood screens. Okay? That wasn't real. So it's time for us to create a reality that's not real. It's time for us to create a reality or images or a future that's not here yet. You do it with the power of that camera and that celluloid and that screen, the silver screen, and the small screen, the black mirror, because everything is being streamed through your phone now. So I'm gonna end about. I'm about to wrap this up. We're gonna end it on the Tekashi. The Tekashi thing, they said that he got $10 million from his record label. His record label, I talked about it before, is owned by Elliot Grange. Elliot Grange is the son of Lucian Grange. Lucian Grange is one of the second most powerful person in music business. It's almost like Empire with Lucius Lyon and Juicy Smollett as his son. If Juicy Smollett had a label, that would be Elliot Grange. That would be the same label that Tekashi 6ix9ine is signed to. Okay? So what they're doing right now is they're showing you that they're destroying the last vestiges of what niggas held on to, street culture. Like I said, the youth of today is in an open rebellion against the old niggas street culture or the old school code. There's an open rebellion on that. When Young Thug put a fucking dress on the cover of his album, Jeffrey, they're showing you they're in open rebellion to hyper masculinity. They're in open rebellion to the code the niggas said to stay true to. They're in open rebellion to a lot of things. They are the killmongers of today. So basically, they are basically saying that snitches used to get snitches, but snitches get riches now. And crime does pay. You know what I'm saying? If you're a snitch. And one of the dangerous things, one of the underlying, subtleties that are being sent out is that you can do the crime. You know what I mean? They're not going against the crime because remember, he's not getting signed to sing no fucking jingles for McDonald's. He's not being signed to do R&B. He's going to be signed by a Jewish man, right? To do what? To spread more pestilence, more decadence, and more quote-unquote negativity into the airwaves. Are they holding Elliot Grange as a conspirator? Are they charging him with conspiracy to basically to promote gang activity? Because he's the one providing the money. And this was before he got locked up by the feds. They never brought his name up. He's a very powerful Jew. He was the one that Shadi and him got into a shootout. That's when the whole thing fell apart. So all I'm saying is, the culture is on his deathbed. You know what I'm talking about? The culture is on his deathbed. It's going to have to be recreated there has to be, they need to call it an emergency meeting of all of these street niggas so they could get their act together because it's like I said in the lecture that I did called Blackface to Blueface. Tekashi 6ix9ine is Wreck-It Ralph. Tekashi 6ix9ine is malware. He's a virus. And he destroyed that whole culture from the inside out. Okay? He destroyed gang culture from the inside out. Especially, I mean, from my standpoint, somebody might be like, no, that shit is strong. But from my standpoint, from my vantage point where I'm sitting at, he's demystifying it. He's taking the oomph out of it and he's destroying it. He's eating it up from within. Wait till that nigga gets out and talks crazy about you gang niggas. But with that being said, I want to say love and light to the family. Go and click that link if you want to go and see this lecture this weekend and whatnot. I'm going to put together a powerhouse I've been in the lab ever since I got back from the UK. I haven't even been outside yet. I just been working, adding new things because you guys are gonna have to see about this UK trip. You know, I'm gonna include that into the American Gods, Americana Nova Roma, because my eyes have been opened up, going to Parliament, seeing what I saw, just seeing the UK, seeing that New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and a few other places are that's the sister cities. This London is UK. Nigga, that's the big mama. That's America's mama. And I saw it with my own two eyes. And I'm gonna break down some things so we can have a better understanding of things. All right. So with that being said, thank you, Empress B444, for holding me down. I appreciate love you. You know what I mean? You're always there for us, and I'm honored for for you being there. All right. So peace to the family, love and light. I'll catch up with y'all later. Peace.